For those of you who've just joined us, I would like to now present very briefly the members of the committee. Again. Now, there are two chairpersons. The first chairperson who will summarize the day is Dr. Nur Haresh, who is an education sociologist and an activist in many, many organizations, among them Mahson Watch, Yesh Din, and Women for Peace. There's another chairperson. The second co-chair is Sheikh Dain Barbari, who is a lawyer, who is an activist of the Palestinian rights in the Negev and the Pravil Project chairperson, and also representative of the El Arakim people. We have Dr. Munir Museba from the Al-Quds University. He teaches law there, and he is the manager for the human rights clinics and community involvement. We have Professor Avner Ben Amot, who is a historian of education, a lecturer in the School of Education of the Tel Aviv University, an activist in the Forum for Cohabitation in the Negev, and Amnesty International representative here. We have Abu Abayt, who is a CEO of Yasmin Banegev for women's health and family health, and an activist in struggles against the proper programs and working to raise women's awareness against expulsion in the Sidre region. And she's also the youngest committee member, and also the youngest CEO member of any kind of social sector organization. We have Dr. Ariela Shadmi, who is a feminist and a specialist in the field of human rights, particularly gender rights. And we also have Wasim Bourimi, a psychologist and team leader working with conflict situations and mediation, and working towards the education of communal and cohabitation of Jews and Arabs.
As we said to the other witnesses, we are delighted for each and every witness that is willing to come and to spell of their primary memories and experiences of what happened. Please, could you first introduce yourself? Could you please give him a microphone? Could you please introduce yourself? Give us a name, year of birth, where were you born, where did you grow up, and where are you today? I would like to thank Zochrot for the organization here. I think you should all be congratulated and blessed for all those who helped them as well. Now, let's get down. I was born in Haifa, beside Haifa in 1929. I'm actually an agronomist, actually by profession. And I experienced all the war of independence, of liberation in the 9th Brigade, in the 9th, battalion. The same as what Toffen told us, but my experiences and my conclusions are totally different from his. And now I'm willing to answer questions. Please, could you just tell us a little bit about what you experienced and what you remember in the most accurate manner from your memories of the battles and post-battle after 48 onwards, and what you participated in? I came to the Negev in March 48, and I joined the reconnaissance unit, and from there moved on to the 9th Battalion. And so until the Egyptian army invaded, we were leading the convoys from Tel Aviv, from Rehovot to the Negev. And we were in the Arab villages to a great... There weren't serious battles there. There were none beyond the Brer occupation, because the local people were not capable of organizing themselves, and because we were very few, admittedly, and we didn't have anything. But you have to understand that they had even less, and they lived in such dire poverty they were really, their situation was so impoverished. They were literally, they had nothing. The Arab villagers, they were called falachim. So there was hardly any resistance. Only in Brer, there were a few people who came from the Gaza Strip, and they organized the resistance, and they really didn't let us go through with the convoy, so we went the other way. But with the invasion of the Egyptian army, the things changed completely. If all their weakness of the Egyptian army was an organized army, and it knew how to actually conquer and bombard in a terrible, systematic way, and we really suffered. And so many of our people actually were killed because of their bombardments. Please, if you could just hold the microphone a bit closer, she's saying. At the Yad Mordechai battle, we tried to participate, but they actually outflanked us. So it doesn't matter. That's not the issue. The issue is that if the Egyptian army, with them, there were real battles, as I'm sure you all well know. But with the Palestinians, the Arabs, the locals, there were no battles because they weren't capable of it, even from a technical point of view. They couldn't compete with us from an organizational point of view, and that is one of the most important points in a modern war. They didn't have the arms, they didn't have ammunition, they had sort of old spears and all sorts of kinds of sort of obsolete arms, so they couldn't actually use them. And that was not only where we're talking about, but it was also in the Jerusalem hills, because in one place where they were concentrated, that was at the Castle Hill, if you remember that story, and they won there. But in other places, they weren't capable, they weren't organized. Now, vis-a-vis, you said that they weren't organized and there weren't battles. So that means that you didn't actually come in contact with them. No, barely, actually barely, unless they were bombarding the convoy or they put mines under the convoy. That happened, but it wasn't with them. We didn't actually see them, come across them. We didn't have battles. It only started with the occupation of Brer, because that was on the day that the State of Israel was declared. And only then was it decided. But there was also an additional difference. And this gentleman, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name, Dr. Schachter, explained it very well. And when my dear friend, who I don't actually know, from the other battalion spoke, they said that they only acted as soldiers. It was true. I do not know of any other case other than one where there was a rape and a murder in Brer. There was nothing else that happened. There was no other case. And he mentioned that. But we were soldiers. We followed commands. We did what we needed to do loyally. We were very young. I was 18 and a half years old. So therefore, you said it, yeah. But what did you do as soldiers? Oh, okay, as soldiers. Well, first of all, there were battles. I'm talking about from the moment that the Egyptian armies invaded. I'm okay, please, leave it. There were battles with the Egyptians. You had the cannon when we were trying to actually erase all their cannons, but they managed to actually put that artillery back. And then there was Be'erot Yitzhak, the horrific battle there. And there were other battles with the Egyptian army. But the difference was that we didn't do anything bad without having been commanded to do so. But when the orders started coming in, they came from the highest echelon. That was to evacuate a village, destroy another village. And could you please tell us about that? I remember after the second lull, I think it was after the second lull, we were told that the Egyptians had moved their cannons into Kaufa, and Muaka. Do you know what we're talking about? Which locations? You know them? You're familiar with them? Just beyond Givim towards the road. He's telling the gentleman in the first row. And we were told that we have to expel them. There were no men there. In other words, to leave the villagers, to expel them to Gaza. And so the women and the children left because there weren't any men there. The men had run away. That was the custom. Those were the last villages. And after that, it was just the Bedouins. They were the last two villages. After that, the Bedouins were left of Tarabin and the others. But I never really knew them well because I hadn't met them. There were smaller battles with them. There were more sort of kind of clashes with them. And we expelled them. There was one village called Uj, a few kilometers. It's near Sderot now. It was called Uj that remained, and I don't know why, but no one expelled the people from it. Because while I was in the Negev, a few years later, I went there. Maybe could you tell me when you were in the Negev, between which year? From April 48 until the occupation of Eilat and a couple of months after that. So were you also involved of the occupation of Beersheba? No, my father took sick and he died. So only after that I went home, and only after that could I joined the forces again. So Uj was expelled after I left. I don't know why. I believe that that was in 1951 when they expelled the Migdal Arabs, which today is called Ashkelon. I wasn't really interested at the time because I was so busy with other things, and I was actually amazed. I was astonished to hear it. I think that Moshe Dayan was the initiator of all the expulsion of the Arabs who had not left. Oh, this gentleman, we said it, Sufin, Arzi. Okay, so when he told us about Kaukaba, I was also there. It wasn't a battle. It wasn't a battle. It was a clash. There was a little bit of shooting from the hills, and the villagers ran away. I don't know why. It wasn't the Egyptians who actually expelled them. They were just frightened. At that time, they were simple laborers, farm workers. They worked the land. I remember there was a Najd village that is now considered, is called, it's not Brer, Orner nowadays. So then we were told that they're coming back. The Falachim, he calls them. These are the workers of the land. And at that time, I actually was responsible for the mortar artillery. And they were shooting. It was during the night because they were trying to come back to the village. So you didn't let them come back. No, we didn't let them come back. And that was under the order, all the order we were given by, actually, that was our company commander. We didn't receive orders from anyone else. That's who we received the orders from. So therefore, anything was not done by the soldiers. Of course, it was done by the soldiers, but in accordance with directed orders. And that was because of the political echelons. And at that time, we already had a political echelon, and that must be said, because it had already, and that must be stressed, that when a soldier always does what it is told to do. We did some things that were really ugly when we were accompanying the convoys, but I don't think we should even mention them. No, but that is what the Truth Commission's role is, to hear what happened. Oh. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Magdi, she's saying in Arabic, I don't want to. Because in a state of war is a horrific, atrocious thing. It's not only when you're shooting at each other and killing other people, but it is what the implications and the ramifications of the people, of the madness, the lunacy of people, what happens to these people afterwards. And you're not going to drag me out with my tongue. I'm not going to tell you. But when you say in the accompanying of convoys in the Negev, just explain what you mean by that. Yes, from Rehovot, Tel Aviv, all the way to Nir Am and that area. And there things happened that I don't want to talk about, that you don't want to talk about. No, not actually there, but following that, or maybe there as well. But why should we bring out the ghosts from the closet? We want to find a solution, and we want to talk. We want a dialogue and a reconciliation with the Arabs, and not analyze what's happened in the past. And that's what I would like to say to Zochrot. Chapeau to everything you've done up to now, and now you have to look ahead. Enough of the past. The past was horrible. Let us now look for ways to find a resolution, and a resolution between people can only be politics. Someone said there's no, you not to talk about politics, but there's no solution that is not political. And for that, you need to find a solution. Do you want to read about your vision? You didn't do it very nicely.
Now, okay, in conclusion, somebody was yelled at when they were soldiers. Obviously, when they were soldiers, they were yelled at. They did what they were told. You did what you were told. I disagree with him completely. I mean, my views are completely opposite. I think we have to find a common language immediately with the Arabs. And all of the injustices done to them have to be rectified. How to rectify them? What's your vision? Not that we can solve the problem. No, I'm no doubt that this organization can't solve these problems. Still would like to hear your vision. I can please, if I could, I've written, maybe I can read you something of that I've written. It's an essence of my views, and I think they must be developed, because otherwise nothing will be concluded here. Political expression for reconciliation between Arabs and Jews. The bloodshed, the ongoing bloodshed and occupation will force the European countries and the US to be active in our area in order to maintain their interests. This requires a communal effort of the people, Arabs and Jews alike, that believe in the possibility of cohabitation between the two nations. The Zionist movement as a movement has concluded its historic assignments and its ideological vision. It's now being replaced by fanatical religious people. To our Arab members, sakriks, the term that I used to call these fanatical religious people is a term from the end of the Jewish dominion in Jerusalem. They were murderers or assassins. They were people who took over the nation, and that's why the Roman Empire took over Israel over 2,000 years ago. There is a role now that must be fulfilled in order to deal with the laden messages left behind from these days. First of all, we must find a common language with our Arab neighbors. The partial solutions that are being offered by Zionists are not serious and not accepted by the Arabs. For the Palestinians,
يطلب الكثير. هذا الأمر يتطلب الكثير من التخطيط بين الباحثين وعلماء الاجتماع الأكاديميين وكل من يستطيع أن يسهم بهذه المحاولة. طبعا نحتاج الكثير من المال والميزانيات، ولكن كل هذا سيكون أرخص بكثير من المعارك المسلحة التي تبذل اليوم. نعم، الناس التي طردت يجب أن ترجع إلى أراضيها. الأموال والتمويل يجب أن يكون الآن هل تسمعونني؟ هل تسمعون الآن؟ آسفة، كنت أتحدث لنفسي. نعم، وعلينا
ברוח זו, כפי שהדבר קם והיה בדרום אפריקה, לאחר הטלת האמברגו שהבהיר לכוחות הכלכליים
economic forces in the region, the fact that they were in a cul-de-sac and that they would not be able to get out of it without this new road. This is a long and dangerous road, politically and socially speaking, but it is the only road that will allow us to find peace in this unhappy land. In this way, we requires those that believe in it enormous efforts personally and collectively in order to establish a country that is a country of all its citizens, as we've heard from the Charter of Human Rights that has never been fully realized. If you want, this is not a vision, not a dream, but a possible reality. Thank you very much. Questions are only by committee members. Please, obviously, we'd like to hear from everybody and we'd like to hear the things that you didn't tell us. But of course, we respect your decision. It would be, I think, very interesting to hear your vision for the future. So who of the committee members now would like to be the first to ask a question? Obviously, we will have to concentrate the question into one tiny list first, and then we'll ask them. I'll write them down. I'll do it. I'll write it down. So please post your questions. And Schachte would be, yes, we don't want to leave things as they are. We are interested to hear more. And the fact that there are people who are afraid to speak because they're afraid, yes, but sometimes it's difficult, the fact that you avoid these memories. Sometimes memories, however ugly, must be heard, and for the benefit of all. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned, I mean, we know about the rape and killing incidences, but the Kaukab story, if you could please tell us about the single event of rape and killing that you did mention. No, I never said Kaukab, I said Brer. Okay, let me ask you another question. Those people who killed and raped, were they ever put to trial? No. No. I went to the platoon commander. Just tell us what happened in Brer, sir. A guy came who was not of this country, of this land, and he said, I raped this woman and killed her. He killed her. Who's her? I don't know who she was. A woman of the village. I don't know her name. He killed some woman. In any case, afterwards I went to my company command. Did you see her dead? You saw her body? Yes, I did. How old was this woman? Maybe 17, 18, I don't know exactly. A girl. Where was this? I went to his company commander and I said that the man must be executed, the murderer. He was different from us. We were all natives of Israel and we were educated differently from this man. We didn't do any of these things, and he was a foreigner. He was, by the way, later he was killed. You mean a foreign volunteer like the French who were here in Israel at the time? No, I mean, why are you taking me back? It's not going to bring peace to remember this incident. It happened. But we think that if we hear everything, that everybody tells their testimony, it will be beneficial. We believe that this will help a collective taking of responsibility, understanding. We believe it's good. We believe that it's good for you as well, personally. I'm sure that you have more experience in these matters than I, but I didn't want to get into the details. I want to see the big picture. I want to find the right way. What I read you now are just sort of, things, caption shots of what I want to tell you about. No, my question is, you are free, of course, to answer as you will. It was 2 days after the Egyptian military retreated. I went to this murderer's company commander, I forgot his name, and I thought this murderer has to be executed because nobody could have conceived of such a crime. And he said, the Egyptians are going to kill them all, don't worry. We're all going to be dead. We're all going to be killed anyway. That's what he told me. We're all going to be dead anyway because we were in a very difficult, we were a tiny number of people. We were 2 companies, that's all. And my and maybe it was 6 companies in all.
אנשים שם לא ידעו לי מה.
בבריר אחר כך היה ירי על בתי ספר?
מה?
על בית ספר? ידוע לך על ירי על בית ספר?
No, did you go to this? Do you remember the story of the Brer school? What happened there? I wasn't there. I heard the story, but I wasn't there at the time. They said that someone had put up a machine gun and killed everybody. I don't know. I was there, but it was told me that 50, 60 people were killed. I never saw it because I wasn't there anymore. And the rape incident was before the school incident or after? I think no, it was after the occupation, so it must have been after. Oh, I don't know. I wasn't there. It was a single event, this rape and murder, and it was horrific. I don't know, but and we were all horrified to our bones. We in the platoon had been educated differently. This is after the Brer incident. Did anybody give command to shoot these people? To shoot? I don't know. I was never given a command. I have no idea how this massacres even occurred. I don't know. We weren't there, but we heard such an event had occurred. Thank you. Thank you. You said that at a certain point the men would run away and leave the women. Let me just they would leave the women in the tents with the children alone. I want to understand, you as soldiers, how did you treat the women? Did you leave the women in the tents, or did you tell the women go away from here? What exactly happened between the Israeli soldiers and the Arab women in the tents with the kids? Can you tell us which tribes? Look, I don't know the tribes. I know the Tarabin and Azazmi, but I didn't know how to distinguish between the two tribes. And what I can tell you is, until I was there until a few months after the occupation of Eilat, and we marked the trail from Eilat, from Uvdat. We marked the trail all the way to Eilat, and we would be in the area, in the wadis, in the valleys, and every time we would see another sort of grouping of tents, and we would see that the men would climb, would mount the horses and run away, but we never touched the women and children. We never went to the tents, and we never imagined any reason why we should. And I never realized, and I never knew how the hell they lived without water. Where the hell did they get their water? But we never had time to even figure it out and investigate it because we were on assignment. But we never even got approached the tents. We never touched them. We were Israeli native units. That we were educated here. We were forced into this war. Apropos natives of Israel, I understand that there were also non-Jewish volunteers. The French, for example, who fought alongside you. People who came from the Second World War. Yes, that was in the second phase in the war. They were called Machar. Can you tell us about them? Yes. That was later. There were other people. They were not of us. They were not people who had been born and raised here and educated here. All sorts of people from Europe. Some of them good, some of them not so good people. But what I saw was, and this is something that I can't ever forget, was the groups of Bedouins in the Negev who were sitting very far away, camped very far away, and I knew every inch of land, and I never understood, where did they get their water for? Forget the food. Where did they get drinking water? Maybe they were Bedouins from different areas that were running away. I have no idea who these Bedouins were. We never got close enough for them to ask. When we did encounter the women, we would sort of calm them down, and the children would be screaming and afraid, and suddenly they see military jeeps and they're afraid, but that's about it. And nobody told you, get this village out, throw these people out, expel them? No, I wasn't some high-ranking officer that was told anything by anybody. I wasn't given direct commands from the higher echelons of the military. I'm sure there was a policy and commands were given, but I was a simple foot soldier. I was 18 years old. I never encountered it. Okay, we have to conclude. Is somebody really need to ask another question? Yeah, okay. Somebody else from the committee who wants to ask a question? Yeah. A question in regards to what you mentioned. Did you see, after the Bedouins ran away, do you remember events in which they were prevented from coming back? I have no idea. I can tell you what I experienced. I can tell you, I don't know what the policy of the state of Israel. That's common knowledge. I don't know. Everybody can read you can read the policy to expel as many people as we can in the north and in the south. That was the policy of the government. But I didn't see with my own eyes. I didn't see it as a problem. We were children. We didn't even understand what we were doing. And we always were at risk that people will tell us that we were in constant danger. They told us, we knew that if we don't win this, we're going to all be dead anyway.
سؤاله كالتالي. هل كان في
يحكي عبراني
بحكي عربي بعدين بحكي عبراني في كمان عربي وكمان عبراني محل الاثنين. سؤالي هو كالتالي. هل كان في مع العمالة كيف؟ هل كان في أشخاص اللي رفضوا يشاركوا بقدر من الفعاليات؟ هل كان قديش النسبة؟ أي نوع من العقاب كانوا ياخذوا أو ما كانش في نوع من العقاب؟
And what punishment did they receive for refusing commands? He asked in Arabic. Now he's going to translate. I don't understand the question. Was there a number of people soldiers? I'm asking if there were soldiers who refused to participate in some of the actions that you took. No, I didn't see any. No, I never encountered such an event. We knew what we were facing. We all understood the reality. We have to win this war, or that's it. In my surroundings, there wasn't anybody who refused commands. So, anybody else? Okay. So we thank you very much for your very important testimony.